Good evening, everyone. I'm Board Chairman Scott Lambert, and welcome to the February 12th Board of Supervisors meeting. So I'd like to call to order, and if we can rise and stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I'd like to introduce everyone here at the table, just so everyone is aware of who is. On my far left is our illustrious leader, Steve Brown, manager, again, Scott Lambert. On my right is Vice Chairman Rich Orlow, and to his right is Supervisor Peter Fixler. We had executive sessions on February 3rd, 2025 at 2:15 and on February 12th at 4:30 this afternoon, and we discussed legal, personnel, and real estate issues. And on the fun side, I'll turn it over to Chris Yeager to introduce us to our new police patrol officer.
Over here, past us. Well, this is Cameron Spencer, Officer Cameron Spencer. He was born in Chester County, Pennsylvania, grew up in West Whiteland Township, very local. After graduating from Westchester East High School, he began pursuing a career in public service by attending the Chester County Fire Academy. During this time, he volunteered as a firefighter at the West Whiteland Fire Company, gaining valuable hands-on experience. Following this, he attended the Delaware County Police Academy and launched his law enforcement career with the West Brandywine Police Department. Today, he continues to serve the community as a dedicated member of the East Whiteland Township Police Department. We want to welcome here. He made it through a long process to get here. And we're very happy with the work he's been doing so far. He's been here for about 6 weeks. So we're very happy with what we see. So welcome, Cameron.
Moving on, Catherine, if you can give us an update, and I will follow you with some comments pertaining to our grant award program.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a brief update for this evening. Our grant awards still stand right at $12.7 million. We are putting in an application in the next 30 days to help out with some of our MS4 projects. So we'll have some more discussion on that, but I think you'll be hearing a lot about grant applications related to stormwater this year. So more to come.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to add to that. As you may be aware, we've been providing monthly progress updates on the important Route 30 road improvement project. While previous updates have been largely positive, tonight's update may not be as upbeat. Our team has successfully secured grant funding for this project from various state and federal grant programs, helping to reduce direct costs to our residents. We have also been anticipating additional funding through the Federal Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, which was signed into law last year, as well as the community project funding submitted and vetted last year. However, these remain in limbo until the federal budget is passed. And so, since this project benefits all of us, we encourage you to contact your representatives and let your voices of support on securing these funding be heard. Additionally, we want to acknowledge Congresswoman Houlihan for sponsoring one of the large federal grants and thank her for her support. We will also be in contact with Senator Fetterman, Dave McCormick's office, to garner their continued support. I've also spoken with our consultants who will be meeting with our new Senator, Dave McCormick, and I was informed that he is in the process of hiring some new folks, so that might get delayed a little bit, but we will be meeting with them as well. So we have put up on our website all of the representatives that you would need to contact and their telephone numbers, and their website information, I believe, is there as well to make it convenient. So again, we encourage you to put your voice forward to help get the sponsorship through, which was previously discussed and vetted, and we're waiting for.
So is the status of this, we don't know whether we will be receiving any of this, or we have been told that we will not be?
We have been told that it is in limbo. It's in theory, it's passed, it's law, but it's being held up in Washington. So. Any questions? Anyone from the audience? Thank you. And I guess we will let Larry come in on update for Park and Recreation.
Hi, everybody. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Busy time for Parks and Recreation as we gear up for the springtime and summer. But more immediately, we want to give an update. For next Friday, we are having our second gift card bingo event. Last year's was a huge success. This year, we're hosting it at the Great Valley Community Organization with a start time of 6:30. Doors open at 6 p.m. There are spots still available to register. It's $15 to register per person, and $5 for anyone 10 and younger. It's an all-ages event, but spaces are going fast. There's over $1,000 in prizes from sponsors from amazing businesses in the township, such as Wegmans, General Warren, GVCO, Chickens and Pete's, Pinball Gallery, etc., etc. There's a lot of people involved. There's going to be a 50-50 raffle for a volunteer fire company, as well as light concessions and drinks that'll benefit GVCO. Next, we're proud to announce the Chester County Renaissance Fair event. This is in partnership with the Malvern Library. This is going to take place next month, Saturday, March 29th at Valley Creek Park. This is a free event for everybody to attend, family, all ages. That's going to be from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. And this is kind of meant to give that sort of general Renaissance fair feel without it being too daunting or too cumbersome. We don't have anything like this in our area, so we're looking to provide a sort of similar feel to what the PA Renaissance Fair can offer, but in a much more condensed, accessible way. Moving on from special events, one of our mainstays, summer camp. Registration is slated to open on Monday, March 3rd. More information is going to be finalized in the coming weeks, but the dates are June 23rd to July 18th. And we're happy to say that we're keeping this as the same price as last year, no price increase. So it'll be $600 for the 4 weeks for residents and $700 for non-residents. Moving on, we are happy to announce that we're in the beginning steps of starting a new litter task force for East Whiteland Township. So if anybody listening or if you know anybody out there who may be interested in joining this task force, we're looking for volunteers to start and organize an event around Earth Day in April. You can contact me, Larry Accio, directly, and we can communicate about your availability. And finally, looking forward to next year, 2026, it's America's semi-quincentennial, our 250th birthday celebration. Pennsylvania, America, specifically Chester County, be holding events kind of all year to commemorate this sort of thing. East Whiteland is a proud partner of this event. While we don't have anything firmly planned yet, we are working to promote this and get things planned throughout the year. So if you're interested in history, interested in possibly partnering to do something throughout 2026, please don't hesitate to reach out and maybe we can get something off the ground. And then those are updates.
Thank you, Larry.
Thank you.
Moving on, Catherine, if you can give an introduction pertaining to the plastic bag discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I believe we have at least one attendee here from the EAC, Pat, who's going to give a presentation on this. This is something that the EAC has been discussing. Plastic bag bans, are not something new. They're something that are enacted in several other communities here, and it's an initiative that the EAC is looking to undertake. So they're just going to offer a short presentation outlining their research and what their intent is. So I'll just invite Pat over.
Good evening, everybody. My name's Pat McDonald, and I've been a resident of the township since 2005. And I've been a member of the Environmental Advisory Commission for 2 years. I just wanted to let you know I do have, I'm an environmental engineer with about 35 years experience in the environmental field, and I've been retired for the last 3 years. So, as you know, I'm here tonight to talk about banning single-use plastic bags, styrofoam, and a few other items. So we could start. Here's a brief outline of what I'm going to talk about tonight. First of all, I'll explain what it is that we are recommending and why we're recommending it. There's additional facts that I think you might find interesting to really reinforce what we're proposing, and then to talk about the next steps of where we would go if this is approved. If there's any questions, feel free to ask. So first of all, what exactly is the EAC recommending? We're recommending that businesses no longer provide single-use plastic bags, plastic straws, or polystyrene takeout containers in the township. And plastic utensils would only be provided on an as-needed or as-requested basis rather than automatically being put in the takeout bags. In addition, retailers would charge 15 cents for a recyclable or reusable paper bag in lieu of providing these single-use plastic bags. Of course, there'd be some exceptions that would be noted in the ordinance for produce, flowers, dry cleaning bags, newspapers, etc. So why do we believe this is appropriate? I'll go over some additional facts that you might not be aware of that support this ordinance. Believe it or not, every year Pennsylvanians use more than 4.7 billion plastic bags, creating 26,000 tons of plastic waste. The average American uses one single-use plastic bag per day per year. And these bans would result in a reduction of 300 bags per person per year. Saves money for the retailers as well as supporting a cleaner environment. Banning single-use plastic bags have also been found to reduce litter by 33%. In addition, you may feel that when you put your plastic in the recycling bin every week, you might be surprised to know that less than 2% of plastics are recycled in Pennsylvania. The rest end up in landfills or as litter along our roadsides and in our streams and storm sewers. Reducing the use of single-use plastic bags and therefore the manufacturing of them would result in less fossil fuel use, greenhouse gas production, and thus reduce the impacts of climate change. In addition, plastic bags also clog storm sewers, requiring increased maintenance and often exacerbating flooding problems. And they jam recycling facility equipment, decreasing their efficiency and increasing maintenance costs. When it comes to polystyrene, the polystyrene, which is styrofoam containers, they leach styrene into the food and drinks being stored in them, and they don't biodegrade and they are not recyclable. So the only thing that happens to them is they get put in the landfill or they end up as litter, and they break down into smaller and smaller bits to be ingested by humans and wildlife. Here's some additional facts that you might find interesting. The average American ingests 5 grams of plastic every week. This is equivalent to ingesting a plastic bag or a credit card every week for every person. Microplastics are now found in our water and air, our food, animals, even in our bloodstreams, and I've seen articles recently, they're finding microplastics in our brains. The city of Philadelphia passed this ban 2019, and since then, plastic bag use declined 93%. The number of shoppers using reusable bags has increased 90%, and the number of people opting for no bags tripled. Additionally, Penn Environment sampled 50 waterways in Pennsylvania for microplastics, and these were not polluted waterways. All these waterways that were sampled were classified as either exceptional value, high quality, or Class A cold water trout streams. And all 50 waterways were found to contain microplastics. And this includes Valley Creek and Ridley Creek. Also, our neighbors have 12 states in the United States have statewide bans, including New York, New Jersey, and Delaware. There are 26 municipalities in southeast Pennsylvania that already have these bans. And they're all listed here. I'm not going to go through all of them, but I just want you to note that it includes Westchester, Phoenixville, TE, and West Goshen. So we're really surrounded by these bans. I know King of Prussia Mall no longer supplies plastic bags, and they charge.
Pat, can I interrupt you 1 second? Could
Sure.
you talk like right into that mic? You're coming in and out,
Okay,
and I'm just worried about. Yeah, that's better.
sorry.
People
Sorry,
on
I think
the
it's
Zoom can
because
hear you.
I'm looking at this. Okay. So now so what do we do? What do we propose as the next steps? The first thing is that we propose is to identify the affected retailers in the township and and develop a flyer with educational facts to help them understand what this ordinance would and would not require. We believe that with the help of the administration here and their consultants, that they could help us to identify the retailers. Secondly, we would develop a very brief survey for a subset of the retailers in the area, representing small, large, local, national chains, and restaurants, to determine their current practices, their knowledge, and opinions on the proposed ordinance. And what I want to say here is there are some places like Wegmans that already does not supply plastic bags and they charge for paper bags. There are other stores like Target that has Targets in every municipality. So they're going to be already familiar with this, and even restaurants that are in here and are also in Berwyn or King of Prussia. This is not going to be a new issue for most of the retailers that we speak to. They're going to have knowledge, and I don't think it would be that hard for them to switch to this. Additionally, we would survey a sample of residents to determine their current practices and knowledge, and their opinions on this proposed ordinance. And again, because they likely shop in Westchester or Phoenixville or even TE, going to Trader Joe's or wherever, or going to the mall, they've all got experience with having to supply their own bag, a reusable bag, or pay for a paper bag. The next thing would be to draft and approve this ordinance, and we recommend a 6-month lead-in time. That is so that retailers could use up their plastic bags and could go ahead and start sourcing the paper bags and informing their customers to be prepared for this with the start date. We would also give them signs to put in their windows for that. And there are many examples from the other townships that are available for review, although we would make it we would focus on the uniqueness of any unique issues with the township. We would want to spread the word about this and educate the public so nobody is surprised about it by providing information on the township website, through Facebook, and other communication avenues. And then lastly, we would develop fact sheets and other aids, like signs that go in the windows and the front doors of the retailers, links for sources for the paper bags, and other articles that they might need to switch to, and distribute these to the retailers to aid them in complying with this ordinance. So, any questions?
Do you know if the school uses polystyrene for its tableware at the cafeterias?
I haven't checked with the school, so no, I'm not sure.
Hypothetically, if they are, would this ban affect them?
We would have to, well, yeah, I would have to check to see. But if so, yes, it would. I don't know if they're providing cardboard or, heavy cardboard or.
Yeah, I don't see any exception for schools. They're probably one of the bigger users.
Of the 3 items mentioned, bags, straws, and polystyrene, be fair to say that the majority is in the bag category versus the other 2, or is it? Yes, fine.
Yes,
Okay.
I think that has the biggest impact. I mean,
Okay.
I live here in the township. There's one restaurant that I know of that we go to, that my husband and I go to, that uses the polystyrene. Everybody else, even for takeout containers, it's cardboard or plastics.
Yeah, I think I know which one you're talking about. I think it begins with an N. Where I go, anyway.
Oh, no, this is a different one, but they
Okay.
have other branches in including TE, so. Yeah.
Okay. What is the alternative for takeout food to polystyrene? Just cardboard, or what other?
Well, plastic is the regular plastic that a lot of, that's heavy-duty plastic. That would be an alternative, or the heavy-duty cardboard, such that Whole Foods uses and other restaurants use.
Whole Foods, yeah.
So it
Okay.
wouldn't say that you can't do heavier plastic, although we certainly would prefer restaurants to go to a more recyclable, non-plastic.
And this ban wouldn't apply to companies that ship materials into a township. You know, we can't govern when people buy from Amazon, their
Right.
stuff.
Right.
Okay, only,
And things that are shipped into grocery stores that are covered in plastic, those plastic wraps, it's really mostly the plastic bags
right.
that you're carrying out.
Okay.
It's not the way things are wrapped.
You know, this came up about a year ago, I think, and at that point, I think it was still in the infancy of any townships in the area implementing this, and that was my hesitation at the time. Now, with it being pretty prevalent, I don't have a problem with this, and the 6-month process makes a lot of sense.
Good.
Just a couple things, Pat, is that, so, you know, Pat and I had a conversation about this not too long ago. I've been a proponent of this for a while. But to let everyone be aware out there, we talked about informally talking with certain businesses to kind of get an idea as far as what impact it might have, any alternatives. So we're hoping to touch base and understanding what alternatives there are and how we would make adjustments to the ordinance to try to make things reasonable. You know, it could be a situation where, you know, we have to put some aspects off for an extra 6 months or whatever, but we are going to get transparent and have conversations back and forth. I had an informal discussion this week with the store manager at Giant. And this is from the Giant, and this is how they have their food. They don't have a lot of takeout food. And I don't know what this is. Would you know? I know Whole Foods has the cardboards. I don't know if that's,
I think polypropylene, this is plastic.
so that's a no-no. That would not be banned.
No, it's really, this would be banned.
Right, that would be banned.
This would be banned, and then the styrofoam, polystyrene is styrofoam.
Okay, all right.
Bag is plastic, that's plastic, but that would be okay.
Yeah, we're not banning, we're only banning plastic bags.
Okay. All right.
Also, they were
Fine
concerned,
with that.
that this is the only utensils that anyone takes out food out of the Giant has. So, again, I'm kind of just pointing these kind of unique situations that we might encounter and might have to deal
So
with.
something that could be discussed and we could decide on is whether to ban plastic utensils. We're not saying that. We're saying it would be on an as-requested basis. So oftentimes when you're doing takeout at a restaurant here, they automatically put plastic utensils in your bag. You go home, you throw them away, and you use your metal utensils. So we're not saying to ban plastic. We could, if you wanted to take the next step and say we would have to have bamboo or something that's more sustainable. But we're just saying instead of automatically putting it in, that we would, the restaurants would say, do you need utensils? And then if they say, yes, it's in, if they don't request it, then they wouldn't be added.
Okay. I know my son's brewery, they end up having the straw. They got rid of plastic straws a while ago, and they've got the cardboard type straws. But the other aspect pertaining to the 15-cent scenario, the feedback that I got from the Giant was that there are other stores in the other townships that have this ordinance are in fact collecting the 15 cents or 10 cents, and it's in their system. So, I mean, they can adjust to it and they can make the same changes here.
And I would want to mention that they've found in the past that if you don't charge anything, then there's absolutely no incentive for the consumer to bring a reusable bag. All it does is increase paper bag use, which is better than single-use plastic. But if you charge something, then people they'll take the next step and have reusable bags.
Certainly stepping into Trader Joe's down in TE, everybody walking into that store has got one of their Trader Joe blue, red bags. And it's a rarity that you don't see somebody walking in with those. So I think over a period of time, people get adjusted to it. And like you said, we are one of the few townships that don't have it. So this shouldn't be a major shock to people. But
Something else I think I had mentioned to you in our conversation was an idea I had was we could look into printing or purchasing reusable bags, either canvas or the heavy duty plastic that a lot of people use for groceries, and put the East Whiteland Township Going Greener slogan or something on it and provide them for the public or sell them for the public. That's something that I had thought of as a little marketing.
I think that's a good idea.
Bernadette, have any of the townships that your firm represents been implementing this ordinance yet? So you have some samples?
I live in a township that has it, so I'm used to it.
Okay.
I have to look at that. I'm not sure. I'd have to check on that. But yeah, we're generally familiar. Upper Merion has it. White Marsh has it. So yeah. And you do to bring in your bag. I now have them in the car everywhere I go.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Any questions, Donna, from the public? Okay. Any questions from anyone in the audience?
George Sabo, I live on Mill. So my question is just, what's the added cost to restaurants for their takeout containers?
Understanding is that plastic takeout containers are slightly more expensive than the styrofoam, but I think most restaurants already use something other than styrofoam. So there could be a slight added cost for that. Styrofoam is the cheapest to make, but it never biodegrades and you cannot recycle it. So it's never reused.
And Pat, one thing just from a macro standpoint, you talked about that only 2% of the plastic bags that get collected in Pennsylvania end up in being recycled. Is there any legislation sitting out there or being talked about in Harrisburg that would change some of this, that kind of help us out?
I think it's a technology issue. I don't think it's, I think that it's expensive and difficult to be honest, I'm not an expert on this part, but I think if it made sense to recycle, it would be recycled. But I think oftentimes plastic bags particularly are very difficult, but even other heavy-duty plastic, it's dirty, it's not rinsed, and I know there's been a lot of problems trying to recycle it.
Okay. Well, thank you. So I guess, Catherine, at this point in time, some next steps that we might want to ponder? Any suggestions?
Yeah, I think the next part, as Pat had outlined, is I'll say like the public relations side of this and engaging the public. And we do have tools at our disposal to be able to solicit that feedback. And we'd want to make sure that we get the right feedback from the community so that the ordinance, if that's what the board is so inclined to consider, represents this community. We have lots of good templates to look at, but those are tailored to those communities. So we want to make sure that we hear that voice from this community and share that with you guys.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Pat, thank you. I also think it's an excellent idea. Something that's past its prime here, time.
I concur. It's due.
Moving on to the Gray Star notice. Chief, if you can kind of give us an update on that scenario.
So last week, we received a call from the Gray Star people and the excavators, and they were just giving us a heads up on the Route 29 closures for the excavation projects they're going to be doing, and they've chosen about 38 different days over the next couple of months where they're going to be doing excavation projects, and we're going to be working a detail where we're doing traffic stoppages for technically they're saying about 5 to 7 minutes at a time. Normally only one time per day. So it's going to be, we're trying to keep it in the afternoon at around 1 to 2 o'clock, somewhere in there, depending on how the schedule fits, and only in good weather. So we're doing it to get around all the school district buses and the lunch traffic and all that good stuff. So you will see signs up. PennDOT's putting signs up all over, just telling people to be aware it's going to be complete stoppage between Valley Stream Parkway and Great Valley Parkway, which would include the area of Valley Creek Park, and the extended stay hotel would be in that area. So there'll just be brief stoppages. It's going to be inconvenient, but I think if it's only 5-7 minutes at a time, we're going to be able to do it. That's all.
At both directions on 29 or just one
Yeah,
lane?
both directions. It'll be
Alright.
closed completely. And you won't be able to exit Valley Creek Park or the extended stay hotel either during that time frame. So there will be signs on the turnpike as well for any traffic getting off, because so that it doesn't back up. But we will have officers on site during that period from East Whiteland to monitor it.
With it being so temporary, there won't be any detour type signs?
Yeah, we really don't want to push traffic, especially truck traffic, down like Flat Road. It would have to be obviously like Flat Road or Swedeford. So by the time they go around it, they could just sat there and, listen to music or check your text then. That's all.
Any questions? No. Moving on to board motions and resolutions. As we know, East Whiteland has a number of different subcommittees that is manned by volunteers within the community. A great basis of individuals that spend the time to promote the different committees that they're on, and we appreciate that. But we certainly can't do a lot of things that we do without their support. And moving on here is the appointment of 3 individuals who will be coming on from vacancies that exist on current committees. I don't think we've got really any questions or concerns at this point in time. A number of members were interviewed and vetted, so there are 3 appointments. If you'd like to make a motion, and we can vote on them either individually or
We can do them all
together.
at once, I guess.
Do them together.
Yeah. Make a motion to appoint Kent Kingan to Malvern Public Library Committee, who I know Kent very well, and he's very capable. Motion to approve the appointment of Erin Tedesco to the Park and Rec Board for a 1-year term. Kent was for a 3-year term. And motion to approve the appointment of Christopher Savage to the Park and Rec Board for a 5-year term.
I'll second those 3 appointments.
All in favor?
Aye.
And passes. Thank you again, everyone, for volunteering. Greg is not here, so Steve, do you want to?
Greg is on another call. There's a chimney fire somewhere. I'm not quite sure where. This proposal is to purchase a Chevy Silverado, a 2023, for $50,000. And the upfit which both the fire and police departments do for the vehicles for their special equipment and radios, and it's very expensive. It's $31,000, but this is to replace an aging F-150 that's used by our assistant fire marshal. And this money and vehicle are in our capital budget and were discussed with the board last fall.
Should I make a motion? I'd like to make a motion to approve the purchase of a 2023 Chevy Silverado and the upfit that goes with it.
Do I have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, and passes. John?
Okay, next item, we
Um,
have a sinkhole developing on Flat Road. It's about 500 feet west of Route 29. It's been an area that's been settling for about the last year, and just recently it's getting much worse. So we've been in touch with our geologist through Arrow and a contractor that we've used before, and we're gonna go out there and start to drill, see what's there, and they're gonna recommend the repair. We have a do not exceed 50,000. You don't know what it is till they start to drill. So,
It's the roadbed.
yes, it's the actual
Really?
road. It's an area that's been sinking. It's right near the pump station that we lost a few years ago. It's only 100 feet away. So,
Would you like to make a
Do it.
second?
Motion to approve the Flat Road work, geotechnical work, cost not to exceed $50,000.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
John, I've got to ask you another question. What we talked about this morning was that you were able to have a sale on that F550 dump truck. And, but it's not showing up here, it's showing up underneath advertisement.
yeah,
that-
I think that was just in the wrong category.
Is it in the wrong category?
It's supposed to be a ward.
The word and motion are throwing me off, so this, all right. All right, so we will get to that in a second here, guys. But I guess we will move into public hearings at this point in time.
Ready? Good evening, Bernadette Kearney, the solicitor for the township, and I'm going to open the public hearing, the first public hearing, which was advertised for this evening. This is an ordinance prohibiting the use of tobacco in recreational areas, parks, and playgrounds, and providing penalties for violation thereof. I'm going to mark a series of exhibits for this hearing. B1 is the January 27th, 2025 email and letter to the Daily Local with legal notice and proposed ordinance. B2 is the January 27th, 2025 email and letter to the Law Library with a copy of the attested proposed ordinance. B3 is the proof of publication for the hearing this evening, and B4 is the proposed ordinance. This is an ordinance that Larry has worked on in referencing prohibiting the use of tobacco in the recreational areas and parks and playgrounds in the township-owned parks, areas, and playgrounds. So the ordinance just adds that new section indicating that they'll all be designated tobacco-free and that appropriate signage shall be posted delineating these tobacco-free areas. I don't know if the board has any specific questions.
Is Larry online for this?
I actually,
Catherine?
Yes, I'm here.
Was it? I know it's not legal to do marijuana in Pennsylvania recreationally, but is there any thought in incorporating that into the ordinance, or is it just because it's not applicable? We could always add it later.
Yeah, I think the thought process wasn't, it's not legal statewide, that it's not applicable to be, referenced out specifically in this ordinance.
Understood. Thank you.
Yes, and Peter, should the state government decide to make recreational marijuana legal, we can absolutely include that in the ordinance at that time.
The other way to do it, which I don't recommend, is to put it in now, which says if it ever becomes legal, it's not legal in these parts.
In these
But
areas,
we don't
yes.
have to do that.
So I don't know if anyone in the audience has questions or anyone online, Donna? No one online does. Okay.
I have a quick question.
Sure.
Can you just, if the idea is to keep people from smoking, can you just put, you can't smoke in a park?
You can't smoke in the park?
Well, or wherever it is. So, I mean, does it have, instead of, making it tobacco or marijuana or hash or whatever you want to call it, can you just say you can't smoke?
I am sure the signage is not going to have as much detail as the definition of tobacco products is in the ordinance. So yeah, my gut is that the signage that the township will be general and say no smoking. Yeah. If there's no questions or other comments, we can close the public hearing, go back to the public meeting, and the board can vote on the ordinance.
What's the fine on this again?
I'm sorry?
What's the fine on this?
Uh,
No,
Yeah.
there is no fine, is there?
There is.
It's
folded into the park rules.
here. Let me. Catherine's gonna. It's not specifically like.
Thank you. Okay. So this is getting folded into the park rules, the existing park rules ordinance. So that's why it is going to be enforced by the police in the same manner that the rest of the park rules are. And the violations and penalties section will follow that it's a summary proceeding. The fine will be $100, not more than $1,000.
Okay. And the only person that can hand out tickets is the police?
Probably codes.
Codes?
They might be able to if it's a ordinance.
Okay. I think we're overthinking this, but anyway. Just curious, just so people know.
I am thinking that along your lines too, like the police really aren't.
No.
Thank you.
I was going to see if we could deputize Rich to handle that in his last year.
I am often on the playground materials.
Really?
Ex-smoker.
Well, you live so close to it,
Yeah, it's right there.
you know? Okay. All right. Would you like to make a motion?
Sure, I make a motion to approve.
Rich, I'm just going to close the public hearing, go back to the public meeting, and ask for the motion. Yes.
Make a motion to pass, approve ordinance 367-2025 prohibiting use of tobacco in recreational areas.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
And passes.
I'm going to open the next public hearing, which is for the ordinance of East Whiteland Township, amending the East Whiteland Township Code to create an open space committee to review potential township open space acquisitions and to conduct open space planning in the township. I'm going to mark a series of exhibits. B1 will be the January 27th, 2025 email and letter to the Daily Local with the legal notice and proposed ordinance. B2, the January 27th, 2025 email and letter to the Law Library with a copy of the attested proposed ordinance. B3, the proof of publication, and B4, the ordinance. This ordinance is in your package, and if you look at this, this is the actual creation of the Open Space Committee. So it sets out the creation, the organization, which will consist of a maximum of 7 members appointed by the Board of Supervisors, all of whom shall be residents of the township, and which shall include within its membership 1 member of the Planning Commission, 1 member of the Park and Rec Board, and 1 member of either the Township Environmental Advisory Council or Historical Commission. The terms are for 3 years. The sets out the officers and meetings, how they will be conducted, the compensation and reimbursement of expenses. I just will say all members of the Open Space Committee shall serve without compensation, but shall be entitled to be reimbursed for necessary and reasonable expenses. Powers and responsibilities are laid out, and these are to identify and review and evaluate and rate the desirability of parcels of real estate, to make recommendations to the township, to submit the recommendations to the board, to make various recommendations with criteria to the board, sets forth reports and recommendations when they are submitting to the Board of Supervisors what they should submit. There's also a section in reference to review, rating, and evaluation of interests in open space lands, and that sets forth how the commission will do that, and the social media policy. That pretty much lays out the ordinance. I don't know if you have any specific questions. Catherine did work. We have been working on this for a while, and Catherine has done most of the ordinance criteria laid forth in there.
My only question, I know we've talked, but are we looking at trying to get this fully functional by April 1st?
If the board is so inclined to adopt the ordinance, we'd suggest a roughly 60-day application and interview period to give the board and any interested residents ample opportunity to get their applications in and the board to conduct interviews. So potential appointments would be made then at the April meeting.
Okay. Any questions, gentlemen?
No, I have none.
Any questions from the public?
I'm done.
Then I'll turn it back over to public. Sorry, Bernadette, I'm riding shotgun.
No.
Hand it back to you.
Yeah. If there's no questions, we can close the public hearing, go back to the public meeting, and the board can vote.
Sure. Peter, would you like to make a motion?
Sure. I'd like to make a motion to approve East Whiteland Township Code to create an open space committee to review potential township open space acquisitions and to conduct open space planning in the township.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And passes. All right, thank you. Peter, I'm gonna let your voice rest. And I'll talk. Peter, Rich and I will call him and you can save your voice. Okay. Moving on to section 5, a motion to award and motion to advertise. If you can, John, give us an overview on the 2025 paving project.
Okay, this is very similar to what we do every year. We have 13 roads on the list this year. You have the list, and it'll be posted on our website once you give approval to advertise. And this is all liquid fuels paving, so.
When would be a completion date, if you had the right weather? Are we going into October again?
No, we didn't last year either. We were done in August last year.
It was August?
Yeah, we're a month earlier this year. So by the time we get contracts, May, June, we should be paving. So,
Price is level with last year about, or?
yeah, from what I've seen so far, they're very similar.
Good, okay.
Okay. So I will make a motion to authorize the advertisement for the 2025 paving project. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, and passes. And now, if we may, have a drum roll.
We,
John Neal is going to tell us about the $15,000 value truck that he sold for a little bit more.
yeah, this, we were the beneficiaries of a bidding war. Two people that really wanted this truck. We ended up getting $60,200 for it. So, yeah, they extended the bids by a half hour, going back and forth, just
Really?
from 35,000 to 60.
Wow,
So-
that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's great.
And I will add that John did, and I think Donna did it as well. They were involved with this on a Saturday, so appreciate you putting that effort out.
We've had good luck with that, because that people have time to sit there on Saturday and just look at the internet and bid on things. So,
Take Monday off, would you?
yeah, sure.
Your
And we got-
guys must have really detailed it well.
You know, we take good care of the trucks, and, you know, it's showing. We got some really good prices this year.
Donna, what did you hear from somebody who bought the truck?
Person that bought the truck actually said that he had heard that East Whiteland takes care of their belongings and their trucks and all their equipment well, so it was worth it. Wow. He was very, very, yes, very impressed, he really was.
A nice compliment.
Judge,
Yeah, he's a judge in Western PA who has a snow plowing business on the side. So, yeah, he's doing all right. Yeah,
Anybody can start a plowing business on the side.
I guess so. Right?
Okay, I'll make a motion to authorize the advertisement for sale. It's really the advertisement for sale and the sale of the 2014 F-550 dump truck.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ho-hum, we got a Ford Taurus. Chris, this is, I bet you a detective's kind of car.
Yeah, this car was always a detective car and an admin car. So it's a 2018 Ford Taurus, souped up a little bit, but it has about 100,000 miles, I think, 100, 102. So we just want to list it on municipal bid and see what we can bring in for the next meeting.
So for all those that are interested, we should kind of prop it up. Is it really good, really, really good shape?
Mike will tell us what kind of shape it's in, and it'll be
Okay.
on the website, municipal bid.
Okay, no problem. Sorry to put you on the spot. So I'll make a motion to advertise for sale for the 2018 Ford Taurus on municipal bid. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And passes. And Catherine? Some exciting stuff.
So our township engineer should be online too and is going to give a presentation. Briefly, I'll just introduce it. This is a general update on the MS4 program. Every year as part of our permit, we're required to discuss our program at a public meeting. In addition to that, the township will complete all of its obligations under its PRP plan, which stands for Pollutant Reduction Plan. It's part of our 5-year permit. So at the end of this presentation, which we'll walk through what the project scope is, we'll be asking the board for a motion to authorize us to bid that project. It does have to be started by June per our permit requirements, so we're under mandate by DEP and we'll be within the deadline that's required. So I'll turn that over then to the folks from Arrow.
Thank you, Catherine. Appreciate it. For those who don't know me, Ed Van Arsdale with Arrow. Also with me tonight is Jeb Rosenberger, who is our lead designer on this MS4 project. Real quick for most of those listening who don't know, MS4 is mandated by DEP and EPA in order to clean up stormwater runoff, anything going into our storm sewer systems that eventually gets to our surface waters all the way further downstream into the Chesapeake Bay and further. So, as Catherine said, it is mandated that we have to do some sort of projects to reduce the amount of sediment pollutants that are getting into our streams. And what we've come up with is 3 projects along Valley Creek. And through this, as you know, in our presentation, we have certainly the amount of numbers that we're looking to reduce with our sediment load. And for the current permit, we're required to reduce close to 290,000 pounds a year of sediment getting into the waterways. And what we are able to achieve that goal is through 3 projects along Valley Creek. So at this point here, I will gladly turn it over to Jeb Rosenberger. He can go over the 3 areas that we've selected and what is being done in those areas. I will admit it will be a little shocking to the residents here with a lot of the tree removal to be done to restore some of these streams to be more stable, to help promote vegetative growth, more native features, and how they will reduce pollutants. So, Jeb, I'll turn it over to you.
Sure. Thank you, Ed. Thank you folks for having us. So on your screen, that slide is our presentation outline there. I think I'm going to skip ahead because we kind of gave a little introduction. Can we skip ahead to the one that's titled "What is MS4 Program?" Ed kind of touched on this, but so the MS4 program came about because Chesapeake Bay Foundation sued the EPA for not enforcing the Clean Water Act. So through this litigation, the MS4 program was born, and the federal government passed the enforcement of the MS4 program down to the states. So DEP is administering the rules according to the Clean Water Act. DEP issues permits on a 5-year cycle to municipalities that qualify for MS4 status. MS4 status is based on population density and several other factors, but East Whiteland is classified as an MS4 community, so they have to meet these permit requirements on a 5-year cycle. So how we come about this is they do a big calculation. Catherine talked about the pollution reduction plan, and you have to reduce your sediment load by 10% every 5 years. So if you skip to the next slide. Slide 5 there. Yeah. This kind of summarizes your PRP, your pollutant reduction. I got it in there. PRP, pollutant reduction plan. The township's permit expires on June 30th, 2025. So we're trying to get these projects started as soon as possible. The total reduction there is on the top line. It's 430,000 pounds per year. We're looking to reduce that amount of sediment. If we look at the area within East Whiteland Township right now, and we exclude the sediment that's captured in basins and sediment that's generated off of state roads and things that aren't included, your total reduction is 289,414 pounds per year. So that's what we're trying to accomplish with these 3 projects.
Can I interrupt 1 second?
Sure.
Just from a visual standpoint, I don't know if there is one, but for the residents to kind of recognize what is 429,358 pounds under the PRP requirement look like?
That's a lot of dump trucks. What does it look like?
Even a ballpark to try to visualize. Are we looking at the size of the infield of the Phillies or
Yeah, that's a good question. Maybe I can help me out there. What is 430,000 pounds of sediment?
Sorry to put you on the spot, but I'm just curious.
So a dump truck.
Yeah, I would say that's, I mean, a dump truck can usually hold about 18 tons, so we're looking at about, off the top of my head, maybe, oh gosh.
Okay, that's a good visual.
Yeah.
One dump truck, 18,000 tons.
Yeah, so it's a significant amount that we're looking through. It would be a pretty large stockpile that you would see that's currently going on something like at 40 Moore's Road, a large stockpile about that for what they'd be excavating out of for the stormwater basin there. So throughout the entire township, that all of that would be through the drainage area running into Valley Creek. That's a significant amount of pollutant that we're taking out of our waterways.
That's 10% of your total load. So
Yeah.
that's what your reduction requirement is. So you're actually releasing 10 times that amount. So when we run the calculations, the requirement that you have left to reduce is 289,400 pounds. And we hope to accomplish this by doing 3 stream restoration projects, and I have them listed there at the bottom of the page. There's the Valley Creek Park, 153,870 pounds, Ecology Park, 101,000 pounds, and the stream right behind the Township building is 78,500 pounds. So those 3 projects will give you a surplus actually of 44,000 pounds, which you can use for the next 5-year cycle. So it meets your requirement for this permit cycle, and it gets you started on the next permit cycle.
Jeff, I don't want to interrupt you, but I can read the chat. Can you turn your video off, and that way maybe the presentation can be seen by the public? So
Yeah. We can go to the
sorry.
We can go to the next slide. Yep. So those 3 sites are on municipal and park land. What we have here is an aerial photograph. The green layer on the right is Valley Creek Park. The left is Ecology Park, and that orange parcel there is the township. So to perform stream restoration, we're looking for a large stretch of stream that we can have access to. It doesn't really through efficiency, it doesn't pay to do 100 foot at a time. We're looking for several hundred feet at a time. Usually it's best to do stream restoration on one willing landowner. And if the property is protected in some sort of way, if it's in a park setting, preserved as a natural area, that's usually the best place to perform stream restoration. So that's how we arrived at the 3 locations that we chose for our stream restoration this year. There's a blurb on there about some operation and maintenance. These types of BMPs do require annual inspections after storms. There is some maintenance that the township will be responsible for once they're constructed. But my next 3 slides, if you flip to the next one, show a little bit about the design, what we're proposing to do here. The next slide is the township building stream design. So each one of these projects has a lot of similarities. It's a 70-foot swath, 35 foot on each side of the stream, is going to be excavated, regraded to allow a nice broad floodplain, and then it's replanted with a variety of riparian zone appropriate vegetation, trees that like water, trees and shrubs that like water. There's some stabilization with different fabrics and stuff we use to stabilize this. And the idea is that since we're regrading the floodplain and making a nice wide spot for the water to flood, the creek is allowed to lower its velocity, it drops its sediment load, and it acts as a trap to save that sediment from flowing downstream. It holds it, it stores it on the floodplain. So that's what we're trying to do with these three projects here. They're all pretty similar. If you flip to the next one, that's Ecology Park. We're proposing to do the west side of Ecology Park over there by 202. And if you're familiar, it goes over to the confluence, kind of the Y in the creek there. It's about 800 foot. It's a 70-foot floodplain swath, again, planted with a dense riparian vegetation. There is some tree removal that is involved in these projects. There are a lot of mature trees. We minimize that as much as possible. We work around the mature tree cover. And you can see on the bottom of this slide here where there's four large trees that are going to be removed. We're planting 148 trees and shrubs. So hopefully this generates a very dense natural area. That's good for the stream health, good for the environment. If you look to the next slide, that one's Valley Creek Park. This is about 1,300 feet. Same scenario here, we had a little bit more room. We're going to do 70 foot of floodplain on each side. We did have some room to grade some nice wetland areas, which will give a lot of variety, a lot of different habitat possibilities there. But yeah, dense riparian vegetation, nice wide floodplain bench to allow the sediment to drop out of the floodwaters. So that's our proposed projects. There are 3 proposed projects. The next slide shows each one of these plan sets has the operation and maintenance notes on there. It goes through what is required from the operator. But there's an annual checklist. You'll have to perform a series of inspections over a 1-year time frame. Any storm event greater than 1 year, or I'm sorry, 1 inch, you'll have to go out there and inspect things. As the debris and dead vegetation build up, it does require some removal of that type of material. If sediment is accumulating in large amounts, it does need to be removed. So those are township responsibilities going forward. And then the last slide, I just have a couple of bullet points. East Whiteland has been designated under the Clean Water Act an MS4 community, and it requires you to reduce your sediment pollution by 10%. So one of the most cost-effective ways to do this is to perform stream restoration. It creates a nice natural stream environment. It's healthy for the water course. It's best on public lands where there's large parcels that can be constructed at one time, and hopefully it's stable for generations and can be enjoyed by everyone in its natural sediment trapping state. So that's all I got for yes.
Has this been priced out yet? And does Arrow do that, or do we do that? Meaning you, John.
We've been working with Arrow. We have a rough cost estimate, but they vary. And we're coming out of the good time of year where people are looking for work for the spring. We're hoping to get some good pricing.
From time to time, there's been developments that require tree replacement.
Yes.
And for some of those developments, there's not enough room on the development site for those trees. And we say to those people, we will tell you where to put those trees.
Correct.
Do we have any tree receivables?
Yes, Valley Creek Park is receiving a large number of trees from Gray Star that they can't fit on their property.
Okay.
So
that would cover some of these.
Yeah, I think it's been structured as a dollar value as opposed to a total number of trees.
Okay.
So we can purchase trees with the money.
That's right, as long as it's their dollars.
Exactly.
Right? Okay.
Yep.
Then I think we got some excess still for going into Backton Hill as well.
Right.
From older projects. While we're looking at it, we should probably maybe consider Battle of the Clouds. See if we can get some trees in areas where people talk about they sit out and watch the kids play baseball and they get baked because there's no shade.
Right.
Maybe we should start a little,
We don't have a stream at Battle of the Clouds right now to put a project like this in, but
no, but to put
yeah, in
the
the future,
excess trees.
absolutely in the future, yes.
Put a few trees in there,
Right.
start building a little bit of shade for those folks.
Yeah, we take a lot of trees out. We need to put some back.
Yeah.
When do you expect to have a reasonably firm cost for this? Couple months?
We're asking for permission to advertise.
Okay,
So we're going to have numbers real quick.
got it.
And this is going to be structured in a way where there'll be 3 separate items. If we have some excess, load, they said 44,000 pounds over. So if we need to take a section out to make things work, we can do that.
Okay.
So
But we are certainly in the 7-figure number, right?
we're probably under 2 million, but over 1.5.
So to give people idea that, again, that's a situation where we're required to pay. You're required to pay, so. Okay, Don, any questions from the public? Anybody local? Oh, we've got one. If you can come to the mic, please. That'd be great.
Directly into the mic.
Old. I live on Conestoga Road. My question was, and I apologize, I missed, so was there any alternatives analysis? Like, what was the process to get to stream restoration is the answer?
Generally speaking, there's a manual that DEP provides where they give us credits for certain methodologies, and stream bank restoration offers the best bang for the buck, so to speak. You get the most credit for that option.
Beth, can you come a little closer to the mic? They can't hear you. I'm sorry. No, it's okay.
Is it on?
Yeah, you gotta speak like literally right into it.
Gotcha. Okay, well, no, that's a good answer. I just was curious about things like street sweeping or other ways that the township would have to, the maintenance is going to be a continuing expense. So I didn't know if there was an alternatives analysis that included a life cycle cost.
Our street sweeping, all the storm sewer work that we do is all documented, and that's included in, and that's what brings that number down every year.
Awesome.
But it's not anywhere near what we need because our adjusted number is 290,000 pounds. We don't get anywhere near that much off the streets, but we do count every bit of that.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Beth. Without any further questions, thank you, gentlemen, for the presentation. And,
Thank you.
Rich, would you like to make a motion?
Yeah, motion to authorize the advertisement of the MS4 pollutant reduction plan project.
I second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Donna, is Zach available at this point?
Yes, Zach is working.
Okay. All right, Mr. Barner, you're up.
Thank you, Mr. Martin, very much, Mr. Chair. Can everyone hear me okay?
I guess you got to talk a little bit louder.
Let's see here. Can everyone hear me all right?
Maybe just a little bit louder. I know you don't want to wake up somebody.
Let's try that. Any better?
Perfect.
All right, here we go. Sorry about that. So the first item here under the planning and development section is to consider rendering a decision on the conditional use application of Tri Point Properties. This is the mixed-use redevelopment of 52 East Sweetsford Road. Following the conclusion of the hearing, staff and the solicitor's office prepared a draft list of conditions of approval for review by both the applicant and the board. We did have some additional modifications here this afternoon just to kind of soften the language and some of the conditions that we devised. I know Bernadette Kearney, Township Solicitor, has a list of those, and I believe her intent is to read those into the record and just make sure that the applicant has an opportunity to discuss or confirm their acceptance of those conditions.
Yes, so Bernadette Kearney, the solicitor for the township. So normally we go through the conditions, and we have 16 here to make sure the applicant is agreeable to them. And I do believe the applicant and counsel are present. So I'm going to start with the first one. The applicant must substantially comply with the testimony and exhibits of the applicant at the hearing before the board, including but not limited to the relevant site plans, reports, and architectural renderings for the project.
Wait,
Number
before
2.
you keep going,
Yes.
they have seen these conditions, right?
Yes, we
Okay, all right.
went back and forth a little bit, yes, so they have seen them. The applicant must substantially comply with the recommendations and/or outstanding comments contained within the township consultant review letters for the project, including Arrow Review dated December 6, 2024, Bowman Review dated December 18th, 2024, Thomas Committa Associates Review dated December 12th, 2024, and Land Concepts Review dated December 10th, 2024. 3, the applicant must substantially comply with the recommendations made at the December 17th, 2024 East Whiteland Township Planning Commission meeting. 4, if requested by the township, the applicant shall provide supplemental information as to the anticipated trip generation resulting from the commercial tenants once determined, at a minimum at the time of application for any building permits or use and occupancy for any commercial tenant. An updated trip generation analysis for the project shall be provided to the township traffic engineer for review. The applicant acknowledges that improvements or modifications to existing improvements may be required to accommodate such commercial tenants based on the resulting trip generation and associated traffic patterns. 5, the applicant shall be prohibited from developing any 3-bedroom apartment units on the property. In addition, there shall be no more than 92 bedroom apartment units on the property. Number 6, in coordination with the township, the applicant shall explore opportunities to construct affordably priced workforce housing as part of the project. Additional details regarding the site design, building construction, leasing rates, and administration of the workforce housing component of the project may be further discussed and refined during the corresponding land development review process. If implemented, the applicant acknowledges that inclusion of a workforce housing component within the project may require an amendment to the conditional use approval outlined herein. 7, the applicant shall comply with all township buffering and landscaping requirements within the zoning, subdivision, and land development and stormwater ordinances. As testified during the hearing, no trees shall be removed outside of the existing curb line for the parking lots associated with the existing office building. If during the corresponding land development review process, additional trees are proposed to be removed outside of the curb line, they shall be documented, evaluated, and replaced in accordance with section 175-41C of the subdivision and land development ordinance. 8, the applicant shall provide architectural information, plans, renderings, and a detailed list of building materials during the corresponding land development process. Consistent with the provisions of section 200-39 of the zoning ordinance, the proposed architecture for the project shall be subject to review and approval by the Township Board of Supervisors. Number 9, during the corresponding land development review process for the project, the applicant shall coordinate with the Great Valley School District to ensure that the project can be appropriately accessed by school buses. The applicant understands and accepts that such coordination may include limited site improvements to ensure vehicle maneuverability and to provide safe waiting and boarding areas for students. 10, the applicant shall restrict any leases on the properties to terms of not less than 6 months. Each rental unit shall be occupied by the specific leaseholder listed on the executed lease, excluding corporate leases under condition 11 below. No leaseholder shall be permitted to sublease any rental unit to another individual or entity subject to corporate leases under condition 11 below. Condition 11 is no outside agency leases, excluding limited corporate leases for employers within the market area, shall be permitted on the property. In the case of corporate leases, No more than 10% of the total units may be held by corporate leaseholders. Pursuant to this condition and condition 10 above, the applicant shall provide a master lease for all corporate leases for review by the township. Number 12, the project shall provide 24-hour recorded surveillance of the exterior of the property and interior common meeting and amenity areas within the buildings. Prior to installation, the applicant shall confer with officials from the East Whiteland Township Police Department as to the proposed surveillance equipment and proposed coverage areas. Number 13, the applicant shall provide to the township the name and contact information, phone number and email address of an individual that can be contacted at any time, day or night, regarding any emergency that may occur on the property. This information shall be updated as necessary to ensure that it is current. 14, upon reasonable request by the township, the applicant shall supply information to the township that is necessary to monitor compliance with the conditions set forth herein. In no event shall applicant be required to share information that is not legally subject to disclosure, including but not limited to personal information of tenants or attorney-client protected correspondence and/or information. 15, applicant shall comply with all provisions of the applicable statutes, laws, regulations, rules, codes, and ordinances of the United States, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, East Whiteland Township, and any other municipal entity having jurisdiction over this matter, including but not limited to obtaining any required DEP permits. 16, the grant of this conditional use approval does not grant any zoning relief, and the applicant shall be required to obtain zoning relief from those sections of the zoning ordinance that apply to its proposed development. The grant of the conditional use approval does not grant any waivers from the Township Subdivision and Land Development Ordinance, which the applicant shall be required to obtain during the land development process. So those are the proposed 16 conditions, and the applicant and council are here. We normally, as any conditional use approval, ask if they're agreeable to those conditions.
Yes, we are agreeable to those conditions.
I don't know if the board has any further questions. I'm sorry.
I'll just, my overall view on this is that, thank you, gentlemen, for working with us, working through some of the concerns. I know what Peter, Rich, and I had the last time has been incorporated in this, I think to our satisfaction. I will add one thing, is that I was the one that brought up about the workforce housing and affordability last time. And for the other people that have contacted me and made comments last week, item number 6 addresses that, and we will continue to work with that and perhaps create a prototype going forward for any type of future development in the community. So again, it is addressed under number 6, and we're moving forward on that. And at this point in time, Peter, do you have any other comments? Rich?
No, I'm good. It is very helpful. It's been a good year working with us to reach this resolution.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Donna, are there any questions on the Zoom call? Okay. All right. Well, I think, again, we've kind of worked through this. Zach, thank you for your time. Bernadette. Without any further questions, Rich, would you like to make a motion?
Yes, I'll make a motion to approve the conditional use application CU 12-2024 for the multifamily redevelopment at 52 East Sweetsford, subject to the conditions recited by the solicitor.
I second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item. First of all, round of applause for Ms. Kearney for reading those conditions. Well done. Am I floating ahead in the TV like right now? Am I just floating in the boardroom? All right. We have 2 applications here under the board's consideration to draft a resolution. The first is actually from 2020. It's a project that temporarily went on hold for a couple of reasons I'm sure the applicant will review. So with that, I believe the applicant's legal counsel and an engineer are here to answer any questions and give the board a bit of an overview on the project.
Good evening, everyone. Allison Zaro on behalf of North Backton Hill Road Partners, LLC. We're here tonight regarding 19 North Backton Hill Road, which is located on Backton Hill Road. It's an approximately 8.5 acre property. It does have an existing building on it. This is in your industrial zoning district. It's an existing commercial building that is approximately a little over 20,000 square feet. And this board previously approved an addition to that building and further development of the site back in 2017. And then in 2020, our client filed an amended land development plan to instead propose 7 5,000 square foot buildings that would be used for contractor storage flex space rather than the previously approved addition to the building. As Zach mentioned, this was originally filed in 2020, and there were a couple of reasons why. First, the original plan was never built, and then this plan. Obviously, everyone knows that COVID happened in 2020, but the other main issue with this particular site is that our client was waiting for sewer to arrive on Backton Hill Road, which is finally here. So we are actually now looking forward to trying to move forward with a project on this site. The other thing I will mention is that there is some existing stormwater which would be expanded, obviously, for this project. The Great Valley Community Organization had moved forward in 2017, also received approval for a development project which was actually built, and our client provided easements onto this property to manage their stormwater management. So we did appear before the Planning Commission at your January meeting. They did recommend approval of the project, and we do have 3 review letters, 2 of which we have no comments in. That would be Arrow and Land Concepts, and then we do have some comments from Bowman, but they are all will comply. So I'm happy to answer questions. There's a lot of history here, but I thought I'd try to keep it high level to start.
I have no questions.
Same. It's been here for a while. Yes.
Ditto. I'm good.
All right, so I will make a motion to authorize the solicitor to draft a resolution of decision for LD 02-2020 Flex Building Complex at 19 Backton Hill Road.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Good, thank you.
The next item is a project over on Valley Stream Parkway. It's 5565 Valley Stream Parkway. There's a couple of two existing office buildings, I should say, that the applicant is proposing to redevelop as an industrial building. I'll let them get into more of the specifics of that. I believe they're the same legal counsel is here to represent them. So I believe Allison and the folks from Chester Valley Engineering will provide a little overview of this project.
Thanks, Zach. Allison Zaro on behalf of Workspace Property Trust and their entity that owns this property, or these properties, I should say. As Zach mentioned, these are 2 properties in the Great Valley Corporate Center on Valley Stream Parkway. They are improved with approximately 102,000 square feet of office and 2 separate buildings, which sometimes have been referred to as Lego pieces. So unfortunately, and Eric McHugh is here tonight from Workspace if you have any questions for him, but they have tried to market these buildings, consider other options for them, tried to make something work, and that is not working in today's marketplace. So they are proposing to demolish those buildings, consolidate the site, and build an approximately 86,000 square foot flex building. This building would be used for general industrial. Your district allows a variety of different, what I'll call lighter industrial lab manufacturing uses. As you know, you're familiar with the other tenants that are in the corporate center, and that's what this building would be marketed towards. We're here tonight only to talk, we're only pursuing preliminary plan approval at this point in time. Workspace would like to get something in place, then go out to the market with it, see if they can get a real tenant, and then we would come back to you at final with more details on what the building might look like, et cetera. So when you look at the site plan, for instance, you'll see lots of what we'll call flexibility in terms of parking. Right now, we're proposing to possibly hold some of that in reserve. There are a lot of loading docks shown on this site, but we don't expect nearly all of them to actually be used by a real user, but it's allowing flexibility when they take this out to market. We did appear again at the Planning Commission in January. They did recommend approval of the project. There are several waivers that we are requesting. I'm happy to walk through those if you'd like. At the time we originally had filed this and appeared, we thought we were going to need additional landscape waivers, but we've been able to work through that with your landscape consultant, Dave Kavanaugh. And we have withdrawn a couple of those waivers. And the only thing we're seeking here, since this site has trees on it today, we are removing over 20%, but we would be replacing per your ordinance.
I'm in a situation where this kind of is snuck up. I don't know a lot of details about it. Is there any way to push this off? Because I can't really make a determination. A month till next month?
Is there anything in particular that you want us to be prepared to address?
No, it's kind of just, it's snuck up at this point in time. I haven't had a chance to really review it.
I think part of the reason I think this is the first time we're seeing this.
Yeah.
I don't think that it made its way earlier to at least our eyes. So
Understood.
That's really why.
Yeah, we had appeared at your committee meeting before we filed this application back in the fall, but correct, we've not been in front of you previously.
Okay. And I understand this is another building that's a casualty of the pandemic. There's two big buildings, big and empty.
Yes.
And empty buildings are not great. That's why the last applicant was in the same position. I don't think there are many others left in the corporate center, but it's an issue that we'll be facing more of. And I know before this came before us, there was a proposal or a thought, has to be maybe a year ago, for a local developer to demolish and build many, many, many apartment units. It was just such a big number. As between the two, I prefer this use with all the other units we have going on, but it would be nice to take another look at this for just a month. Yeah.
If you can, I appreciate it, and that's perfectly said.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, we're hoping that you feel comfortable and you would move forward with approval. Like I said, they'd like to be able to take it out to market, and that's, one of the reasons we're trying to do this in a two-step and create some flexibility in the design.
Okay, so.
Any
I'm
ideas,
sure when our
Zach?
clock is up.
Yeah, I was just going to ask if Zach, do you know if we need a waiver or an extension or waiver from Allison in reference to the time period for the board to render a decision?
I have to double check that. I want to say it's at the end of March from a previous extension. I don't believe there are any plans that have a expiration date at the end of before the end of March.
Yeah, that actually, now I'm thinking about it, that would make sense, Zach, because tonight we were here just for presentation and request for authorization of the resolution. So, yeah.
But with that in mind, I think if the intent of the board is to discuss this at the March meeting and then plan for a sort of decision at the April meeting, pending that discussion in March, we would still need an extension. So it may be good to, if Allison and her client are open to it, at least sort of speak that into the record this evening.
I mean, that's fine. Obviously, we're looking for an approval here, so I'm not going to force you into a position of denial. We'd certainly be happy to, walk through the plan and discuss it, get your feedback.
And then Allison, do you have an updated waiver letter? I remember the
I
handout.
do.
Okay.
Yeah, we did submit, so before this meeting, we did formally submit that along with the updated landscaping plan so that we could show accurately what's proposed with respect to the landscape. So certainly, in that time period, we can, I'm thinking since we'll have a month here, perhaps we can get a cleaned up letter from Dave Kavanaugh for you when we return. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. And Allison, I'll be in touch with Allison and the folks from Workspace to kind of talk through some of the next steps on that. So I appreciate their flexibility and work with the board to kind of get more information for them to review in the meantime. So the next item here is under the consideration of extension of time. This is for the Penn State Great Valley parking reclamation project. Essentially, this is a university-wide initiative to remove parking from existing campuses and facilities that are not being used. In this case, they intend to remove a large number of spaces and create some green area near their alumni house, sort of to create a lawn for different activities. So again, I imagine we'll have an update from them soon. In the meantime, they're extending through June. So if the board's agreeable to that, we'd like to give them a little more time to process through our reviews.
So they're looking for an extension.
Yep, just do the end of June.
Penn State Great Valley, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Make a motion to approve an extension of time by which we have to make a final decision for LD 08-2024 Penn State Great Valley parking reclamation until June 30, 2025.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And passes.
And the next item here is for consideration to accept an offer of dedication for the roadways within the Great Valley Crossing community off of Church Road. This was discussed many months ago. The board reviewed the request. There was a discussion about posting some additional financial security for any resulting sinkholes that may occur within the roadways. In addition to the normal maintenance bond, 18-month maintenance bond that is posted following acceptance of dedication. Since then, we've worked with the applicant and the developer and their legal counsel to correct a few deeds where the legal descriptions were, I would say, erroneous in a very minor way. They were, in many cases, just an inch or so in sort of plan view, so to speak. These were all tied to the deed of dedication to the roadway. So when we reviewed the deeds of dedication to the roadway, we noticed a couple of errors. They've now filed corrective deeds at their recorded deeds for each of those that was in error. And I believe that's actually already been processed and the recorded deeds have been returned. So that'll be the next step, would be to sort of distribute that to the property owners. Again, that's just kind of a high level overview. I know the applicant, the developers, legal counsel is here as well, still here, in case there's any questions. Essentially, this would just be acceptance of the roadway, like the road bed itself, the curbs and the storm sewers inbound of the curbs. So, no sorts of like leader lines or anything like that, just the pipes and the inlets within the roadway.
Zach, it's my understanding that the 18-month bond is still in force, even if we take dedication of the road, correct?
Yeah, I would ask Allison if she wouldn't mind clarifying the status of that. But yes, my understanding is that it is measured from dedication, so it's not something that the clock has been ticking on. But Allison, if you wouldn't mind confirming that.
Sure, that's correct, Zach. And then separately, the sinkhole remediation agreement is secured by a cash escrow, and that's in place for 3 years.
3 years, right? Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay. Yeah, okay.
Sure. Donna, any questions out there? There's nothing from the audience. Rich, you want to make another motion? If you have no more questions?
Make a motion to offer for dedication the Great Valley Crossing, to accept for dedication Great Valley Crossing internal roadways, curb, storm sewer, inbound of the curb line only.
Second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. We appreciate the township working through this one with us. It was a
Two
long
out of-
time coming.
2 out of 3.
Yes. Thanks, everyone. Have a good night.
Thank you, Allison. And so one item I forgot to mention, we had talked with the developer, Toll Brothers, about providing some of the money that would have been received from liquid fuels to the township that we use for maintenance of roadways. If this had been dedicated during our normal time period, what we would have sort of gained from liquid fuels, and they are agreeable to providing those costs to help offset the maintenance of the road, in addition to what's already discussed.
Then Zach, I think we're done with planning, right? Anything else that I missed?
Those are the only items. That next up is the zoning and code enforcement section.
Yep. All right, so moving on to John.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. There's no pending zoning hearing board applications or decisions to discuss this evening. So I'll move right on to some code enforcement update information. Residents are reminded that walkways, stairs, driveways, parking spaces, and similar areas are be kept in a proper state of repair, maintained free from hazardous conditions. This means that you are required to remove snow and maintain sidewalks free of snow and ice in a timely manner. Further, as spring approaches, please take a look at your sidewalks for deficiencies, especially properties that were previously worn by the township, wherein as weather breaks, we'll be following up on these violations, and where corrections were not attempted by the residents, we can issue citations for noncompliance with the property maintenance code of East Whiteland Township. Also, we want to remind residents and contractors working in town that the township does have hours of operation restrictions. We've had some recent complaints about them. The hours of operation for general construction, movement of trucks, things like that, is 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. on weekdays and 9 to 9 on weekends. So that's it for this month, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, John, thank you. Donna, any questions? None? Okay. Moving on to public comments for any items not previously discussed on the agenda. There's one.
Hi guys, this is Carol Rapp and I had a question for you. Are you guys still recording these meetings and posting the recordings? Because I wanted to go back and watch January because I missed, I think, half of it due to another engagement I had. And I don't see any recordings since September. So I was just wondering if that's still happening.
We are recording them, Carol, and I guess Donna's gonna comment back to you.
They are recorded and you can find them either under media or under just YouTube, East Whiteland Township. I can send you the link right now.
I looked under media and there's nothing posted on in the agenda center since September in media.
Since September?
Yeah. I just looked tonight.
Okay, I'll send you the link. I can send you the link right now.
I didn't know I could go right to YouTube though.
Yes, you
for it.
can. Yes. I'll send it to you.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, I just happened to notice that, so I just wanted to ask.
It's not a problem.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
One comment I'm going to make under general that I probably should have mentioned earlier, just FYI, if you recall, the Importer building had 2 large trees. One of them was going to be removed, one was not. A resident made a great suggestion as far as trying to do a reuse of that 300-year-old sycamore tree. I've gotten some leads from Gail on the Park and Rec Board and a few other locations, a few other people's names, and I've made some contact with some people who are interested and have the ability to transform the large sycamore that is in the way of the building that will be coming down. The second tree will remain up, but we have someone who is able to convert the tree into a memorial type bench. And we also have, Zach has had contact with the owner and the developer, and is very open to us working through the process of getting that tree and doing what we need to do to build benches from it, whether it's 1 or 2 or whatever. But just to give people an update, I get emails every now and then, and the resident's suggestion on that was a good one, so just kind of give you an update on that. Moving on to the consent agenda. Chris, you got something?
Yeah, I was going to just mention, as I do occasionally, a piece on scams that are occurring in the township lately. Again, I can start out by saying, when you're reading these police reports, I mean, it's just terrible to see how people are trusting other people, and they're always honest, good people, and they're becoming victims of scammers. And some of the latest are, and Scott brought some of these to my attention, but the sheriff's calling for no-shows for jury duty, and calling people and saying, well, you didn't show up at your jury duty on X date, so therefore you owe, $1,500, $15,000, whatever it is, and convincing these people that they're going to go to jail unless they can go and get a card, whether it be a Visa, give them the number, and then they take the cash and they're gone, and it never happened. So that's been happening. That and similar to that is the IRS scam, which is the same way. They're saying you owe money to the IRS, you never paid your taxes during whatever year they want to mention, and convince you to, they may start out with $500 and you do it, and then they'll say, well, there's more, we just found out, and they just keep taking you to the bank, literally, with these cards. There's also romance scams, where these are probably even more insidious because they do more than really take all of someone's money, because it's usually someone who doesn't have the money to spend, but they're lonely and they're looking for someone to, somebody makes them a bunch of promises. So once again, we see those occasionally. Then there's a grandchild scam. Somebody calls you and says they're the Texas whatever, or somewhere far away, and your granddaughter or somebody was either in an accident or was DUI, and now they're in jail and they need money to get out on bail, and it has to be cash and it has to be now. So those, and then sextortion. Somebody takes pictures, happens a lot with younger kids, and somebody convinces them to send the pictures, and these are not other ones that are insidious, because for a kid, it's sometimes it turns into a suicide situation. And then we had another real big one, so I'll mention as the crypto, where someone was buying a lot of crypto, and it turned out when they went to cash it in that they weren't really buying crypto. So that was a lot of money. So I want to just make it very clear that, first of all, the police department is here. I've said over and over, if you ever have a question, First of all, if you have a question, then that should be enough to tell you that you know what's really going on. Call the police, tell us the whole thing, and we'll tell you what to do, for the most part. Almost all these things are scams. So the best thing to do is just call us. If they're asking you to give a credit card number, anything like that, cash, go to the bank, get money in, we're going to have a driver come and pick up the money. Anything like that, you just have to know to just stop, call the police, and we'll tell you what to do. And you'll have your money afterwards. So from that perspective, like I said, it's just call police. And but we just see it too often, and a lot of times people are embarrassed about, that it happened to them. And, especially seniors, they don't like to have that hanging over their heads, so they may not ever call us. So we've had times where we literally had to chase them down at the bank and get them to stop. So very sad, but I just want to emphasize those points again. And all these things you can find online anywhere. We have resources on our website as well, which go into some of the scams. And there's always new ones, so you never know what you're going to get. Thank you.
Okay, Chris, thanks for sharing that, and hopefully we can prevent someone from getting caught up in one of those in the future. Okay, so I will move into the short consent agenda. I'll read it. Should you have any questions, let me know, and I will pause and answer the questions. 9A, approve the meeting minutes from January 21st, 2025. Ratify the payment of bills in the amount of $331,968.66. Treasury report. And finally, approve and ratify the Shakespeare in Clark Park Performing Artist Agreement and waiver payment in the amount of $2,000. Any questions? Hearing none. Would you like to make a motion?
Motion to approve the consent agenda as read.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
And at this point in time, at 8:31, meeting is adjourned. Thank you.